There is a ceramic crock sitting on the shelf in my cellar right now. It is about the size of a small bucket. It is filled with a clear liquid and a white powder dissolved into it. And sitting down in that liquid, stacked carefully, are 43 eggs. Those eggs have been in there since the beginning of spring. It is late autumn now, and when I crack one open this evening for my wife Hilda's spätzle, it will look the same as the day I put it in. The yolk will sit up round and firm. The white will be clear and tight. It will taste like an egg, because it is an egg, the same egg that has been sitting in that crock for 7 months without a single minute of refrigeration. The liquid costs less than $2 at any hardware store. The crock I am using belonged to my grandmother, and this method has been keeping eggs in Alpine and Bavarian households since before any of the grandmothers of your grandmothers were born. My name is Martin Hofer. I grew up on a small farm in the foothills south of Munich, in a village where the winters come early and the summers are short, and you plan for the months when the hens do not lay. My family has been doing this my entire life. My grandmother did it. Her mother did it before her, and nobody in my village ever paid for eggs in winter, because nobody in my village ever let the summer eggs go to waste. Today, I am going to show you the exact method, what the liquid is, where you buy it, how you mix it, how you pack the eggs, and what you do after that. Then I am going to tell you the part that might irritate you a little, which is that your grocery store spends about $4 in electricity per dozen eggs just to keep its refrigeration cases running, and the egg producers add that cost back into your bill every single time. A family going through 3 or 4 dozen eggs a week is spending well over $150 a year on eggs alone, sometimes closer to $200. And every egg in that store was laid sometime in the last several weeks and has already been washed. That washing is important. I will explain why in a moment, because once you understand it, you will understand everything about why this method works and why the egg you buy at the store cannot be preserved the way I am about to show you. Stay with me. Let me start with what most people do not know about an egg, because once you understand this, the rest of the method makes complete sense. A freshly laid egg is not bare. It is coated. The hen lays it with a very thin, natural layer covering the shell, what the Germans call the Nagelhaut, which translates roughly as the nail skin, and what the English call the bloom, or the cuticle. That layer is almost invisible. You would not know it is there by looking, but it seals the thousands of tiny pores in the eggshell and keeps air and bacteria from getting inside. An egg with its bloom intact is a sealed thing, a protected thing. It can sit on a cool shelf for several weeks without any help at all and still be perfectly good. But every commercial egg you buy at the grocery store has been washed. In most countries, and especially in the United States, eggs are legally required to be washed and sanitized before they are sold. That washing removes the dirt, yes. It also removes the bloom, every bit of it, and once the bloom is gone, the pores of the shell are open, and the egg now needs refrigeration to stay fresh. The cold air slows the bacteria that want to get in through those open pores. That is the trade that was made for you. Wash the egg, remove the natural protection, and now you need refrigeration forever. And refrigeration belongs to the power company and the grocery store, not to you. My grandmother's eggs never went near a sink. Now, let me tell you about the liquid in the crock, because this is the heart of the whole method. The substance is called water glassing, and the liquid is made from something called pickling lime, or in German we call it Kalkwasser, limestone water. The scientific name is calcium hydroxide. You can buy it at any hardware store or at a Latin or Asian grocery where it is sold for cooking purposes. It costs about $2 for a small bag, and that small bag makes enough preserving liquid for 3 or 4 dozen eggs. The ratio is simple. 1 ounce of pickling lime to 1 quart of water, which is about 28 grams to roughly 1 liter. You stir it well. The powder dissolves partly and the liquid turns milky and then clears as the mixture settles. What you have now is a mild alkaline solution, and that alkaline environment does something remarkable to an egg. The lime solution slowly reacts with the calcium in the eggshell and with the carbon dioxide that normally passes through the shell. It forms a very thin mineral layer that seals those pores the way the bloom sealed them before. The egg is protected again, not by the hen this time, but by the chemistry of the lime water itself. Bacteria cannot get through. Air cannot get through. The egg inside stays exactly as it was the day it went into the crock. University food science departments have studied this method. The United States Department of Agriculture documented water glassing as a valid preservation technique in the early 20th century, when it was common practice across American farms and European households alike. It did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because the refrigerator arrived and nobody needed it anymore, or so they were told. Now, let me show you exactly how to do it, in the order you do it with what it costs. The first thing is the eggs, and this is the point where I have to be honest with you, because this part matters, and getting it wrong will ruin the whole effort. You need fresh, unwashed eggs. That is not optional. It is the whole thing. Eggs from a grocery store have already been washed and cannot be preserved this way because the bloom is gone and bacteria may already be inside. You need eggs from your own hens, or from a local farmer, or from a market where you know the eggs come straight from the farm unwashed. Farmers market eggs, eggs sold from the farm gate, eggs from a neighbor with chickens. Those are what you want. The eggs should go into the lime water within a day or two of being laid. The sooner, the better. That way, you are sealing in freshness from the very start. Check each egg before it goes in. No cracks, no chips. A cracked egg lets the lime water inside and the egg is ruined. Hold each one up briefly to the light if you are unsure. A good egg shows a small air cell at the round end and a clear defined yolk shadow. That is a fresh egg. The second thing is the crock or container. My grandmother used stoneware. A ceramic crock with a lid is ideal because it is non-reactive and keeps the contents cool and dark. A large glass jar works just as well. A food-safe plastic bucket will do if that is what you have. What you must not use is anything made of metal, because the alkaline lime solution will react with metal over time and contaminate the eggs. The third thing is the liquid. 1 ounce of pickling lime per quart of cold water, stirred well. Make enough to cover the eggs you plan to store, with at least an inch of liquid above the top layer. The eggs must stay submerged. If they float, the part above the waterline is not protected. You set the eggs in gently, pointed end down. That is the traditional way, and it keeps the yolk centered in the air cell at the top where it belongs. You pack them in without stacking them roughly. Then you pour the lime water over them until everything is covered, put the lid on, and set the crock somewhere cool and dark. A cellar is ideal. A cool pantry works. A garage that does not freeze in winter will do, and then you leave them alone. The eggs keep at their best for 9 to 12 months in a cool environment. Some people report good results past a year. The texture may become very slightly softer as time passes, but the egg does not spoil. It does not rot. It does not smell. It simply sits in its little protected bath and waits for you. When you take one out and use it, rinse it under water, because the lime residue on the shell is mildly alkaline, and you do not want it on your hands or in your food from the outside of the shell. One honest word about baking, because it is worth saying. Eggs preserved this way are perfect for scrambling, frying, poaching, making spätzle, making pasta, making Pfannkuchen, making quiche. For cakes that rely on eggs to leaven and rise very precisely, some bakers notice a very slight reduction in the whipping power of the whites after long storage. For most baking, no difference at all. For a meringue, you are entering into a competition. Use a fresh egg. For everything else in your kitchen, these eggs are the same egg. Now I want to take a moment because this is the part that matters and it is bigger than a crock of lime water. Think about what most families spend on eggs across a full year. At $3 a dozen, 3 dozen a week, That is over $450 a year in eggs alone, and that price assumes you are buying at the cheaper end. Organic eggs in many cities now run $5, $6, $7 a dozen. A family eating well through eggs is spending close to $1,000 a year just on eggs, and every single one of those eggs depends on a refrigerator that depends on an electric bill that belongs to someone else. Now, think about the summer. The hens lay more in summer than they can possibly lay in winter. Most backyard chicken keepers and small farm buyers know this. In summer, eggs are cheap and plentiful. In winter, the hens slow down or stop, and the eggs at the store go up in price precisely when they are hardest to get locally. My grandmother filled her crock in summer when the hens were laying 2 and 3 eggs a day, and every neighbor had more eggs than they could eat. She sealed them in lime water in May and June, and she opened the crock in November and December when the hens were done for the season and the snow was on the ground. She did not buy eggs in winter. She never needed to. A small bag of pickling lime costs $2. It preserves 4 to 5 dozen eggs. Those eggs, bought or traded for at the height of summer when prices are lowest, cost almost nothing compared to buying the same eggs retail in December. The crock itself lasts a lifetime. The method costs nothing to run. There is no electricity, no appliance, no subscription, no delivery. You buy the lime once. You use it every summer. The knowledge belongs to you from that day forward. That is the quiet truth behind this whole thing. There was never any mystery to it. The method is in old German farmhouse books. It is in American agricultural bulletins from the 1920s. It is in the memory of anyone who grew up on a farm before 1960. It did not disappear because it failed. It disappeared because the refrigerator manufacturers needed to sell refrigerators, the egg companies needed to sell eggs year-round, and a family that preserves its own eggs in a cellar crock is a family that does not need any of them. Nobody ran an advertisement for pickling lime. Nobody made a commercial showing you the crock on the shelf. Nobody knocked on your door to explain the bloom and the pores and the lime water chemistry. The knowledge just got quiet, and then it got forgotten, and then it was gone from most kitchens inside of one generation. But not from mine. Not from the farmhouses in the villages south of Munich. Not from the people who understood that a cold winter and a warm summer and a crock of lime water were all the supply chain you ever needed. So here is what I want you to do. This week, find someone with hens. A neighbor, a farmer's market, a farm stand. Anyone selling fresh, unwashed eggs. Buy 2 or 3 dozen. Look at each one. Make sure there are no cracks. Go to a hardware store or a Latin grocery and ask for pickling lime or calcium hydroxide. $2, a small bag. Mix 1 ounce into 1 quart of cold water for every quart of space in your container. Find a glass jar or a ceramic crock or a food-safe plastic bucket. Set the eggs in pointed end down. Pour the lime water over them until they are covered. Put the lid on. Put the crock in the coolest, darkest place in your home. And come back to it in winter. Crack one open. Look at that yolk sitting up firm and round. That is not a trick. That is not a survival technique. That is just what a properly kept egg looks like when nobody washed the bloom away and somebody thought ahead. Tell me in the comments below whether you keep your own hens or where you plan to find your unwashed eggs. Tell me what your winters are like and how long you want to store. I read every one of these, and what you all learned together in the comments teaches the newcomers faster than anything I could say alone. Next time, since we have spoken of the cellar and the cold and storing food through the dark months, I am going to show you the way my family keeps root vegetables, apples, and cabbages through an entire winter with nothing but sand, a wooden box, and the temperature of the earth. No electricity, no plastic wrap, no grocery store. The same way it was done in these valleys for 300 years, and the food comes out in March better than it went in during October. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, find the lime, fill the crock, and remember that the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just starting to remember.